this morning. Lucky Charms, that sounds gas. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are all doing well, of course. And today we're going to be discussing one of my least favorite things when people come up to me and ask me, which is, obviously, oh, you're a runner? So how's the marathon? I don't run the marathon. I run the 5K and 10K. I'd actually rather you say 5 mile or 10 mile, maybe even half marathon. Now the thing is, I don't really mind people asking me how the marathon is when I understand for, the average folk, it really does make sense that a, post-collegiate runner would be running the marathon. There's really not much else to run unless you're doing little road races or track races unattached. So it makes sense why most people would assume that. It's hard to explain to most people why I'm not running the marathon because they don't really understand the other distances to begin with, and they don't quite understand how running works. So today I'm just going to kind of break down why I don't run the marathon, and it's really why I don't run the marathon yet, because I still plan on obviously running the marathon at some point, but just not right now. To put it simply, it's not that I don't want to run the marathon. I want to not just run, I want to race the marathon. And I think that's really where the disconnect starts, is the fact that people look at different marathon races like Boston, and they see this standard that you have to hit in order to compete at Boston. And they're like, oh my goodness, you have to run under 3 hours to run at the Boston Marathon. So they're all of a sudden thinking to themselves, well, this is like a pretty good marathon, running under 3 hours. And I think it's actually 2 hours and 57 minutes, somewhere around there, to be exact, but you get the point. And to be completely honest, running a sub 3 hour marathon, on the guy's side, of course, is extremely impressive. I'm not trying to take anything away from anybody who is able to do that, because it is not an easy feat whatsoever. However, for someone like me, and this might come off as a little arrogant, perhaps a little egotistical, but for someone like me, and I'd say about 60% of Division I cross-country runners specifically, running under a 3 hour marathon would not be much of a challenge. I think it would definitely take a lot of effort. Obviously, running 26 miles is nothing easy. My longest long run is 17 miles. I haven't done anything over 18. And realistically, that's more because my coach won't let me. I really do enjoy longer runs. I'm just not allowed to run anything longer than 2 hours or a little over, around 17 miles. But I do genuinely believe that about 60%, if not more, of Division I runners with, let's say, 2-3 months of training could absolutely run under a 3 hour marathon. I'm sure most of them could probably do it right now. It wouldn't be that crazy to think. And it's not because we are amazing runners or anything. Obviously that's has a part to it, and I shouldn't even include myself in there, because realistically I'm not a Division I runner, even when I was in Division I, I shouldn't have been. But it's more because of how long we've been doing the sport. Most Division I runners started in, junior high or beginning of high school, have been running for years now, have built up consistent mileage all the way to this point. And realistically, to run under a 3 hour marathon, that's what you have to do, is you have to train consistently, you have to train hard, and you have to build all the way up to that point. So for me to run under a 3 hour marathon, I don't think it would be all that difficult. I think that with a couple months of training and making sure that I'm doing the right things, I am probably in shape to run, who knows, 2:30 maybe. I definitely couldn't run 2:17, which is something we're going to talk about in a couple minutes, but I definitely think I could run relatively far under 3 hours, which again, might be a little arrogant, might be a little egotistical. I'm not saying that it's not, because I've never ran 26 miles before. So, maybe it is, maybe it's not. We'll have to see when I get to that point. But the real reason that I don't run the marathon is because right now I'm really young, and I have all the speed and the tools that you require to PR in the shorter distance races. I think that as you get older, it's always going to get harder, and marathoning kind of becomes kind of an old man's sport in a sense, where you starting to see younger people run the marathon and have great success with it. But as you get older, you kind of run longer distances because you run at a little bit of a slower pace just for a longer period of time. And your body can generally handle that a little bit better than it can running extremely fast paces. So right now, while I'm young, I really want to focus on breaking my 5K PR, breaking my 10K PR. I'm probably gonna run a 10-mile race in a month or so here, maybe even a half marathon. We'll see, I'm not entirely sure, but for now, I really wanna focus on these shorter races and try to just work my PRs down as far as I can. And that's not to say that I'm not gonna do the marathons in the future. I do really want to run marathons in the future. And my plan is, if possible, next year, I'm gonna try to spend one more year working on track races, depending on how this year goes realistically, but maybe one more year looking at track races and road races of shorter distances. And then the year after, I'm gonna try to spend 2 full years working on the marathon leading up into 2028, which would be another Olympic year. And my goal is to be hopefully able to qualify for the Olympic trials for the marathon. Listen, I'm not delusional. I know I'll never be able to go to the Olympics for the marathon, but I do think qualifying for the Olympic trials is very doable. And I think that's a really good goal for myself because obviously there's only so much you can do with the shorter distances. Obviously I could try to go win some money running road races, and I think that I'm going to try to do that this year and next year. However, not that easy, especially being, outside of Chicago. A lot of the people in Chicago are very good at running, no surprise there. So it's definitely not the easiest thing in the world, but I do think there's a possibility that that could happen. And I think that it's a really good goal to set myself for 2028 to try to qualify for the Olympic trials. I think that'll be the prime of my life. I'll be 26, I think, during the trials, and then, 27 when the Olympics roll around. So, it'll be the prime for running. Obviously, I'll probably have a year or two after that to where I can still do some pretty crazy things if I stay consistent. But that really is just like the goal in my mind, is I really want to work on these shorter races while I can, while I'm young, and then go out to marathons in the future, and not just, run the marathon. I want to race a marathon. I want to go out there and I want to see what I can do. And something like qualifying for Boston just doesn't seem very difficult for me, to be completely honest. Like, I really do believe that, I could do it. And again, I'm saying that with the thought process that I've never ran a 26-mile race. I've never ran more than 17 miles. So, you have to take it with a grain of salt that, when I look at myself as a runner, I do believe that the longer the distance, the better I am. I definitely think I am a very, distance-orientated guy, where I just really do think that I excel in the longer stuff more than most. So who knows, maybe I'm just absolutely lying about this all, and I might never even run a marathon. As of right now, though, I really want to run Chicago. It's close to my house, so it'd be really cool to experience that. I've also been to the Chicago Marathon. I do have a lot of Chicago Marathon merch. It's kind of some of the coolest stuff ever. So yeah, I do want to run it at some point. That's the plan, but who knows what the future holds. I just wanted to kind of clarify on why I'm doing what I'm doing and what my thought process is behind it, because most people really don't understand that. And I just thought, you know what, maybe I should say something about it, because it might help clarify things a little bit for the general people out there that don't really understand running in running terms, if you will. So that's why I don't run the marathon as of yet. Hopefully going to do that in the future. But yeah, with that being said, I really hope you guys have a fantastic Easter. This video should be coming out today. So, enjoy the day. Have a great rest of your weekend. Have a great week coming up. And yeah, I'll see you guys on Wednesday for the Passion Project. Take care. Love all things. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.